Returning errors from HTTP handlers is very important. Why am I going to do this? Well, because I made a video. Why the Golang 1.22 HTTP router is not great. These are actually responses I get, right? And I was telling that basically the HTTP handler needs to return an error. And I was a little bit flabbergasted by the responses by people, right? Hey, everybody can leave their opinion. That's perfectly fine. But I didn't thought there were so many people that say, hey, listen, I don't agree that the stdlib handler should return an error. How would that error be handled? Functions run as go routines. Yeah, of course. There is no point in returning errors. There are. So trust me. Any rather that here's the stdlib, a created handler doesn't return an error. The error comes from the service that's called within the handler in any case. So people, I have the feeling that people have no clue why. That's why we're gonna do this right now. And you imagine, you can follow, right? Let me actually just get users. Let me demote this thing to the bottom, right? So we have actually. Let's make it complete. How do we do this? Router handle func. Get. Is it this one? User ID. Not quite sure. I think it's something like that. Handle get user ID and then copy paste this in. Get user, something like that. You know what I mean? Handle get list users, by the way. List users. Press enter. This is it. This is it, right? Very simple. But can you imagine? You're gonna have a big list, a big API, get user, get admin, yada yada, a big API. Imagine that. We have two examples, but imagine we have way more handler as this, right? All right. So listen up. Okay. So how are we going? First of all, how are we going to make sure that we have, if you want to have a logging system, like we want to log every error that occurs in our system. How do we do that? That's very simple, right? So here is an error, so we're going to do an slog error, right? I'm going to say HTTP handler error, right? We could do handler, and we could say it's going to be the /handle get user by ID, something like that. And we're going to say the error is this thing, right? So we need to do the same thing for this other guy here, right? Boom, same thing, but it's going to be handle list users, right? Users, something like that, you know. Is it always a, maybe you could do something like the status code here, right? Status, you can see already the problem coming, right? You could do an HTTP, man, this is so huge here. Status, bad, gateway, it's fine. Request actually, let us be, because otherwise Reddit will pitchfork me and yeah, cancel me and all that stuff. So you can see the problem, right? You need to do this for all your handlers. And besides that, this is a very simple handler, but you can imagine that you're going to have multiple calls. So you're going to have multiple of these things, right? Right. It could be another error. It could be something else you need to check. Boom. And you have the same thing, right? And then again, somewhere in there, boom. And you have the same of the shenanigans going on in your code. Very dirty, but that's fine. I'm dirty. I like dirty. But there's a problem, because what if you want to implement something like Grafana logging or Elasticsearch or something else? You cannot swap it. Then you need to. This is one handler. These are two handlers. Imagine you have 50 of these handlers, and you're gonna change your logging system. You are fucked. Let us be honest. You are screwed, right? So I cannot imagine why people say to me, yeah, Anthony, but it needs to be like that. No, it's not, Timmy. It's not. This is garbage. Don't do that, right? What you need to do is you need to make sure that every handler is returning an error, right? Here, for example, we're going to change this up. This needs to return an error. Also, this bad boy needs to return an error, right? Yeah, but they are handled in Go routines. Yeah, so what? You know what I mean? I don't understand. I don't need. I basically, from all the comments they comment on this previous video, there's no legit comment that I say, hey, actually you're right. No, you're all wrong in this case, right? So what is this going to do? Well, it's very simple, because right now we can delete this and we can actually just do something like, we can return this write JSON. Yeah, and we can return this thing. Easy peasy. No logging needed. We just return what we need to return, and that's done. What we also can do is actually, to be honest, we don't even need to return write JSON. You could do this, right? You could say type API error is going to be a structure, right? And then we're going to say, for example, a status is going to be an integer, and then maybe an error itself, I don't know, or a message or whatever. You guys be creative. It could be a string, right? And then we do this func e API error string, and then we just return return e message or something, right? Boom. And now we can actually delete this, and we can do something, because maybe we want to write this, and maybe we have a specific way, because this is write JSON, right? Look at this, guys. It's actually very important. Fuck, I cannot go back in history because then this is gone. Wait, return e message, people. This is so important, actually. This is going to write your error in a specific way, right? It's going to use this format, right? The map string any, and it's just going to do an error here, right? But imagine you have 50 of those, 50 handlers, but you want to change. You and your front-end team, you decided, hey, we're going to change up our errors. We want some extra information from the backend so we can do some cool stuff in the front-end. Good fucking luck. Why? Because you need to go through all of your handlers here and change this thing. But what if you make an API error here, which is a structure, which implements the error interface, right? This thing is an interface, right? So we could actually return this, this API error. And let's say it's going to be a status, I don't know, the HTTP status bad request, and then the message is going to be Timmy, something like that, right? And that's the only thing we need to do, and everything works pretty fine. And we don't need to care how this is going to be marshaled. That's for later on. You know what I mean? Okay, the same thing goes here, right? Let's copy the whole shebang here. Why not? Let's paste that in. Let's delete this, right? Let's delete these arrows because we don't need them anymore. Let's return, right? Boom. Okay. So, and the next step is to basically, now we're gonna have an arrow here, right, at the top, because this needs to have, this has a wrong signature, so we're gonna fix that. How are we gonna fix this? Make handlers. This is where I fuck up all the time. Let's do something like a type API func or something. I can't see, man. I can't see. Error. That's our handler. So we're gonna say event or handler. It's gonna be an API func just like that, and we're gonna return http.handler func or something. Is that true? No clue. We're gonna see, right? And now let me actually do this. Paste back in, paste it in here, return this, delete this error because we don't need it. Do this, this, and this. If r is gonna be h wr r not null. Save. Write JSON. Boom. W. The status. What we could do here is actually assert this error. How can we do that? Is it like that? Can we do something like if okay, that is going to be an API error. Okay, and then we can do e status e. Just too good. I'm just too good. Let us be honest here. Yada yada yada, right? And you can, and if it's not an API error, it's going to be some other error. Maybe you have a special error, special API error, or maybe you have just standard error, and you can based on that error, you can do whatever you want, right? That's that. And of course, now you can do an slog here, error, and you can do whatever you want, right? You could say API error. You could also basically, if it's an internal server error, you can actually do a special message so you don't leak critical information, for example, right? Very important. You don't want to log out database information, cannot find row, yada yada. Okay, so you could do that. The error is basically the error here, actually E, right? And you could do, actually you could do this here, right? Or doesn't really matter. Status E, status yada yada yada, and whatever you want to log, you're gonna log here, right? So now it's completely separated. So now you need to actually explain to me, right? Because I'm gonna cut this video out and it's gonna be on the internet. Explain to me why not actually. Before we do this, let's make it complete. Make handler. Why don't VS Code know what I want? Make handler. Man, skill issues, insane. Let's do make handler. I want to be fast because we don't have much time, isn't it? Well, now we're done, right? So why is returning an error from your handlers actually not the correct play here? Can somebody please explain me? Please.